and then now the water situation, is getting, we're getting more and more bad water reports.
From your neighbors?
From the neighbors, yeah. Mrs. has reports. She has copies of all those reports that she's done. I'm not even sure how many she has done. She's even gotten samples of creek water. Fish Creek that we used to swim in and the kids played in, you can light it now with a match. The methane that's going into it that was never there before. Of course they're trying to tell us that it's naturally occurring. But it's only naturally occurring, after they start drilling out here.
It's in the creek.
It's
the creek water is.
Yeah, you can actually light the creek water. Yeah, we have pictures of it. Has a video that he took of the creek. He had a match and he lit the match. So it's had a huge impact on our lives out here.
Can you talk a little bit about the horse that you lost?
I didn't actually lose him.
Oh, that's good.
He's on a medication to try to control this condition. He's an older horse. He's in his 20s. He's basically retired. But last summer I noticed that he seemed, and he's a very spirited horse, and I noticed that he seemed to be lethargic. He didn't run in the field anymore. When he would come into the barn, he just would kind of mope into the barn. His appetite was off. Not a lot, but enough that, I noticed he was getting a little, picky. But then he colicked, and this is a horse I've had for about 8-9 years, and he's never had a sick day in his life. And when he colicked that morning, I found him early, he colicked the whole day. And normally with just basic colic, you can work them through it in an hour or 2 or 3 hours at the most, and it passes and they're okay. Well, this went on for nearly 24 hours with him. And we were at the point of calling the vet to put him down because he was in so much pain. And when he finally got over this episode, and so the vet took blood work. And when the results came back, he has something wrong with his liver. His liver is not, and I don't have the papers here, because he didn't give me a copy, which I knew he had them out there, but I didn't actually get a copy, so I'm not sure the name until I get these papers for you. But his liver is not producing these enzymes that he needs. And it's not a disease. He said it's something that's in his environment. Without further testing, he said he couldn't nail it down to any specific thing. But none of the other horses were sick, although they're drinking the same water that he is, but they're younger than he is. And the vet said that, it could affect the younger and the older before it would the middle-aged horses, or the ones in the prime of their life. So I haven't gotten the other ones tested yet, but that's an option that I'm thinking about actually doing, just to get the results from them and see, to compare them with his. Because I have my 2 older horses and I have my 2 young horses that I just bought a few years ago to replace the older ones, because they're retired now. And I don't want anything to happen to my young horses.
Yes.
Those are. I've got a lot of money tied up into them, and
absolutely.
Even my old ones, I don't want anything to happen to them. I like my horses.
Yeah.
But Spicer has never been sick, and he's starting to act the same way again. Which I actually called the vet the other day to see if I needed to increase this medication that I have him on, and he said that we'll just play it by ear for right now, and if he seems to start getting worse, then we're going to have to do some more tests and see if it's getting worse. And I tried to get the papers faxed this morning, but for some reason their fax machine's not working, so I'll pick them up tomorrow, the copies of all the blood work that he had done and what the results were and stuff. So
I'll get you my fax number too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a fax machine here, and they tried to fax them, but And then we tried to fax them to Vicky's even, but their fax machine, they were having some kind of problem, so. But we'll get them tomorrow, and then I'll get them to you.
Have you yourself noticed any health problems?
Yes. I used to leave my bedroom windows open at night, and I can't do that anymore because if I do, I'm sick. I get up in the mornings, I have runny nose, I have headaches, versus as to where if I keep the windows closed, then I don't have them as bad. There are lots of days that I have headaches, neighbors have headaches, all on the same day. We're far enough away that I don't think we're getting the odor, but we're getting the air. If you drive out Macedonia, lots of days you can smell various, very strong odors. Some of it's gas, some of it kind of smells like sulfur. You know, you can smell different smells. But the headaches, for the past probably year and a half, it took a while to figure out why I would wake up in the morning and have a headache. I never had headaches. And I would wake up and I would have headaches. Or I would be so stuffed up that I couldn't breathe. And then I were talking one day, and I said, you know, I said, all the air, because all the wells are back that way. And as you can see, most of my breeze comes this way. It's coming directly from them. And I told him, I said, you know, I leave my, even through the winter, I like to have my bedroom window cracked. And so I said, I'm going to start shutting the windows. So I did. And in about a week, 10 days, it cleared up. But then there are still some days that I'll have these nasty headaches, and I'll call my neighbors, which a lot of them are my family, and I'll call them, and they've got headaches, or they've got sinus problems today. You know, something that we've never had before. So there is, you know, I think a link to it, especially for, you know, 8 of us to have a headache all in the same day. You know, who live in this general area through here. That's really odd that, you know, we would all have a headache at the same time on the same day. At night, you can smell it the most. Is when, you know, I can usually smell it, as well as the noise. You know, I used to be able to sit out here under my pine trees and never hear anything except for the crickets and the frogs at night. Now you constantly hear a roar of motors, you know, in the background. It's always there. It never goes away. That's why I live here. You know, we were at a meeting, and the mayor of New Martinsville, you know, she says, I live by the railroad tracks, but, you know, I choose to live there. You know, and she knows that that noise is there. And she said, but these people, you know, they choose to live where they do, but they didn't choose to have you come in there on them, you know, like they have. And now that they're putting these 2 huge compressor stations in, you know, we can't get them to give us a straight answer as to how much noises are going to be. You know, what are the air quality issues going to be? I'll give you copies of those permits.
Great, thank you.
Permits from these stations and the things that they are going to, the various chemicals that they will be emitting. And I think both these compressor stations are a combined horsepower of like 30 or 33,000 horsepower. And, so, and they don't think this is going to create much noise for us. You know, and from here, if, like I'm right here, one compressor is here and one compressor is right there. And they're on top of the ridges. And I tried to explain to this one guy, this engineer, when I asked him about the noise, and he said, well, the noise really shouldn't affect you. And I told him, I said, you don't realize, I live on top of the ridge. These 2 compressors are on top of the ridges. You know, yes, that noise is going to carry right across to me. You know, they keep telling us. But, you know, it's like, you know, how, they won't give us a straight answer.
Yeah.
You know, I know engines, you know, the size of those engines are going to create quite a bit of noise. Even though they're telling us that they're going to be inside a building that's insulated. They also have the buildings that are insulated on the compressors in Ohio and somewhere else, and we listened to a video of them. And you could hear them. You know, and out here, especially on a quiet night, you know, are we ever going to hear the crickets and the frogs again? You know, instead of hearing all these, the roar of these motors in the background. And because of where my house sits here, at the top of this hollow, 89 sits right down there, and there's a steep hill where these trucks come down. So we hear all the truck noise, the Jake brakes, Yeah, the noise all comes right up this hollow. And